Introduction to the Mosaic CP GUI. In this module, we'll introduce the Mosaic Cloud Platform graphical user interface, and then we'll step through each of the main MCP menus. We'll cover several administrative functions, but for most of the other MCP menus, this will be a high-level overview with detail to come later in the course. Let's start with the MCP GUI introduction. To access the Mosaic Cloud Platform graphical user interface, launch your Chrome browser and then enter the IP address of your MCP server. The default username is admin, all uppercase, and the default password is password, and again, all uppercase. The first time logging in, you're prompted to change the default password. The password complexity can be modified, but the default requires an 8-character minimum, at least 1 digit, 1 uppercase character, and 1 special character. The initial login screen is the alarm and event window. We have the MCP menus on the left, MCP Search and user option menus in the top right. The alarms can be filtered and sorted. Clicking the alarm severity level hyperlink will apply the filter for that alarm. We'll take a deeper look at both active and historic alarms shortly. The MCP Global Search provides the ability to search the entire system for any object by name or partial name. You can select a search result to navigate to the overview screen for that item, or select View Results page to display a full list of search results. Searches are expansive, meaning that search results will include matches of the search object, as well as objects contained in the search object. We see an example of that with the search of the 411. It's not part of the object name, but it's part of the details that make up that object. The advanced search allows you to perform label searches that the standard search would not find. You can also search based on a substring of the filtered object. In the first example, I'm searching for only device objects that have ONT in their name. In the second example, I'm searching for only interface objects that have ONT in their name. The user option menus includes the About, Help, and Logout menus. The About option includes the Overview tab, which provides the Mosaic CP version. The UI tab provides the client version and user agent details. And the Plugins tab lists the installed plugin names and their versions. The Help menu provides built-in documentation, which includes an introduction to the MCP GUI, a user interface guide, and an API guide. As always with Adtran products, additional documentation is available in the Adtran support community. You also have the Change Password, Enable Disable Features, and Logout menu items. Enabling the export feature allows you to export tables such as an inventory list as a CSV file. Here we see the main MCP menus: Administration, Assurance, Inventory, Orchestration, and New Objects. We'll walk through and introduce the key MCP menus in this module. Selecting a menu such as Administration displays a side menu. The side menu can be collapsed at any time for more screen real estate. If you wish to select another menu item, select the main menu again. The Administration menu. The administrative screen provides the administrative functions for the Mosaic CP GUI. These are the functions used to manage users, permission groups, internal and external policies, audit logs, and admin settings. MCP users will be managed via the Administration Users menu. From here, you can click to edit an existing user or click New to create a new user. Only the admin account exists by default. The admin account is assigned to the superuser permission group and has full privileges. The Administration Group screen displays a list of permission groups. Permission groups are configurable groups of MCP permissions. Existing groups can be modified, and new permission groups can be created. This is a list of the default administrative permission groups. Very granular control is given to allow the admin to provide various rights to users. Remember, the superuser has full control. You can see the superuser group lists 301 total permission type settings. Assign users to the superuser's permission group if you want them to have the same privileges as the default admin user. Individual permission groups can also be edited. Select a permission group to edit where you can view or modify selected permissions. To create a new user, select the New button from the Administrative User menu. Assign the username, password, and then user type. There are two user types, regular and machine. Your GUI administrators will always be regular users. The machine user type specifies a user which will access the system in an automated fashion via an API. The regular user will time out in the GUI, but a machine user never expires. You can disable the change password on next login if desired, but click Create to continue to the edit mode for this user. From this screen, select permission groups that this user will be assigned to. Selecting superuser gives the same MCP privileges as the default admin account. The password and other global settings such as allowed failed login attempts can also be set here. Click Save to complete the creation of the new user. For reference, here you see the permission groups required to create a user with read-write access to the MCP GUI minus the administrative functions. These individual permission groups are assigned during the creation of the new user. Here's another example. These are the permission groups you would assign for a read-only user. The Administration User screen displays each username, the assigned groups, when the user last logged in, failed login attempts, status of the user, and whether the user is currently logged in. Here we see admin and the user Wanderin are superusers. I Need an App has been assigned the permissions group to give read-write access but no admin functionality. And Willpower has been assigned permission groups given view-only access. And on the right side of the screen, we see I Need an App is the only user currently logged in. The policy screen is where global policies impacting all users or the overall system are configured. This includes AAA priority settings, external radius or TACAX policy provisioning, internal password complexity, and log retention. Note the log retention settings are a number of days or total size of the log file, whichever comes first. From the internal policy menu, the default global password complexity and account validity settings can be modified. All user activity in Mosaic CP is logged to an audit file. These records can be viewed and searched from the Administration Audit Log screen. Recall earlier that all MCP GUI actions are actually an API call. The action column in the audit log displays the API call. In the example shown here, we see the event logged when I created a new user willpower. Step 1, I selected the user menu. The action displayed here is, again, the actual API call. Next, in step 2, I selected the new user button. Step 3, I created the user willpower and entered the edit mode. In step 4 here, I assigned the permission groups and click Save. And then in step 5, I selected Refresh from the audit log screen. Now to show this, I actually had two GUI sessions open when I was creating the user. This GUI session was to display the audit log activity when I created that user. The admin settings screen is where you can change the login banner and logout settings. The final administration menu is the credentials screen. Credentials are used to communicate with any network element in MCP. The credentials can be a key or a password. MCP communicates to network elements using the CLI or netconf. If login credentials have been changed from the default username and password, a credentials object is required to access that network element. Credentials are assigned in the configure step that we'll discuss later in the course. The assurance menu. The assurance screen displays diagnostic information about the system. The event screen displays active and historic alarms and other events. The active tab displays active alarms in the system. You also have the event cards with severity level. Click View to see only alarms with that severity. The Historic tab displays a table with all non-active events stored in the system. In both the active and the historic views, the table can be filtered using filter options at the top of each column. Here we see we're only displaying events with the string ONT in the identity, sourced from the TA5000 R3S1 device in the specified time window. Now on to the inventory menu. The inventory screen displays information about all the objects in the system, such as devices, interfaces, and profiles. MCP fiber to the prem plugin device objects are TA5000s, ONTs, and the rooted device. The rooted device is a special device that represents the northmost device managed by MCP. All other devices in the system are children, directly or indirectly, off the rooted device. I want to note that the rooted device is the only inventory that exists with a base install of MCP Fiber to Prem plugin. All other objects are created by you or other users. An interface represents a physical or logical network interface. These objects are attached to a specific device. Here we see some of the interface objects that will need to be provisioned in MCP. The root interface shown here is created to provide a management interface between the TA5000 and MCP. The inventory service screen displays service objects. A service object is a service which spans two endpoints of the network. One endpoint of the service is a provider-side endpoint, and it references the content provider. The other endpoint references a subscriber-side interface in the network. The path between these two endpoints can span multiple devices in the network. The inventory profile screen displays information about profiles and profile vectors managed by the system. Profiles are a collection of attributes or settings used to configure the behavior of objects in the system. A profile can be complex or as simple as defining one attribute setting, such as AES encryption that's enabled or disabled on an ONT. A profile vector object is a list of profiles and a reference when creating objects. Sample profiles and profile vectors are included with the MCP Fiber to the Prem plugin package, but they must be installed and modified to fit your deployment. We'll discuss profiles and profile vectors in depth later in the course. The inventory infrastructure screen displays information about servers, management domains, data centers, and content providers managed by the system. With the Fiber to the Prem plugin, we're mainly interested in servers and content providers. Servers are for system configuration archive backups, file transfers, and upgrades. The content provider is an MCP object that represents the edge of the service provider's network, basically where packets are coming from. Orchestration Menu. The orchestration screen provides the user the ability to create and schedule jobs and onboard a device. A job is a set of actions to be performed in the network and can be utilized by both human users and automated systems. The Network Builder is a feature that enables you to CDA at a device and its associated interfaces and bundles in a single API. With the Fiber to the Prem plugin, though, we'll introduce another method of doing this. Jobs can be provisioned to perform system configuration archive backups, restores, device software upgrades, and MCP reflows. Jobs can be activated now or triggered on a specific date and time. New Object Menu. This is the last main MCP menu we'll cover. I've used the word object over and over in this module. Objects are the basic elements used to build your network within MCP. In the next module, we'll step through the creation of device objects, which include TA5000s and ONTs, interface objects, which include the PON ports and Uni Ethernet interfaces, and service objects, which include data and voice services, plus more. In this module, we introduced the Mosaic Cloud Platform graphical user interface and the main MCP menus. At the same time, we introduced terminology and topic that we'll cover in detail throughout the course.